I remember in PE class a few years ago, I noticed this kid who had just started going to the gym and his legs were insane. Like, you could see all the separation, you could see all the different muscles in his quads, you could see his hamstring every time he flexed. And I wanted that so bad. You see, I was this little kid who had just started. He'd been going for quite a few years and I had just started. And my legs looked like this. They looked just flat, just nothing going on. And now 3 years later, I know exactly how to get muscles like he had in his legs so that you can be that guy whose quads look absolutely insane during PE. Now, you'll normally see creators just say like, do 3 sets of squats, guys. But actually, I find that these 3 exercises build your quads way bigger than squats do. I find squats just don't even target my quads very much. I don't feel it. But sprints, for example, have you ever been told to do sprints before to build your legs? Probably not, but the hamstring pump you get from that is ridiculous. Cycling, you've probably never heard someone say, right? But all these added extras, I've got every single leg exercise that I currently do, and I'm gonna walk you through them exactly, show you the exact form so that when you go to the gym, you can literally go, okay, I know what I'm doing, and you can perform them without looking like a neek. So that's what we will be going over today. And if you want someone to literally look at your form, you can send them a video of you doing your form just to check that it's right. You want that level of help, then I have a school community link below that will give you access to that. Now, for starters, I am going to go over like the traditional things to start off with what I actually do. For example, leg press. This clip was taken a while ago. It was for like one of my cool videos. That's why it's like one of my edited videos. That's why it's got like this cool bokeh effect on the side, right? So it's like a cinematic shot. But I do it a little differently to how I do it in this clip. So what you want to do is place your feet. Also, you want one of these leg presses, which is like sort of like this 45-degree angle. You don't want the one that is like flat and you push yourself away, you push the seat away from the machine. You want to push the machine away from you like I'm doing in this clip. That is so important. The 2 different leg presses they're completely different, and this one is way better. I started off on the other one and it was terrible, and you probably see like lots of, I don't know why, but loads of girls seem to do it in my gym, and lots of beginner kids like who've just started, you know, like 14 years old, and they just started and they go on leg press and do like 9 sets of 10,000 reps or whatever. But this is way better. So just focus on this. If you have the other leg press, don't use it, except for calf raises. This is the machine I'm talking about, and I'll go over that in a second. So you want to place your feet. You first of all want to have the seat at this incline, sort of like a 45-degree incline, so you're literally in like the letter L, right, or like a letter V kind of, that's quite open on the leg press. And then you want to place your feet very close. So say that's the box, right, like the actual machine, this bit here, like the where you can place your feet. You want to have the box like this, and then you want to have your feet narrow, like really close and really low down, and you'll feel it all in your quads. If you want to do it really wide, then that'll target your hamstrings and your glutes, but mostly we just want to grow our quads here. So keep them nice and close, nice and compact. And then what you want to do, you have these little yellow handles depending on the type of machine you have, but you'll probably have something similar to this. So you push out first, so you push out so it gets off of this little, I don't know, thing that keeps it in. And then you pull these handles up. And once you pull them up, then it's released. So when you go back down, it doesn't stop there, right? Like it was before. It's like putting the brakes on, right? But now you can go all the way to the bottom. And what you want to do, on the way down, you want to do it nice and slowly. Lots of people just rep these out, and I'm probably doing it in this clip as well. So I'm going like really fast, really fast. This is not bad actually. See that? Up and down, up and down. You don't want to go that fast. You want to go nice and controlled. So you want to go down like very slowly, slower than I am here, and then pausing at the bottom for literally half a second so you can feel that contraction fully, and then explosively push outwards. Now, don't lock your legs out. Some people say this is fine, but personally, on the other leg press that I was talking about, I tried to max out on like 220 kg or something, and I was like, oh, I'm so cool. And my leg, basically, say that's your leg, right? It bends. How does it bend? So your leg kind of bends that way, right? I locked it out, so 220 kg was put all the pressure onto my joint there, and it almost snapped, like as in if it goes that way, right? It almost snapped the wrong way, essentially, which is what you don't want. So go almost to locking out, but you see how it's sort of like a tiny bit crooked. That's what you want. You don't want to fully lock out, so your legs are completely straight. You want them have a slight bend in them. Just like that. And then you can pause if you want to and go back down, and try and get as low as possible, even lower than I'm getting here. So really get close to the end there, so you're in this like full contraction, because some people only go to about there, right? And that's just not a full rep. So nice and controlled all the way to the bottom, lower than that, half a pause and then half a second pause and then explode on the way up. And of course, train to failure. Train to failure on every single one of these exercises until you can't push anymore. So not when you feel pain, when you physically cannot move the weight anymore. That is what you want to achieve. Now onto leg extension. So again, these are just like the classic ones. So we've got leg extension and leg curl and these calf raises. If you want to go on to the more advanced ones like sprinting and stuff, then you can skip until I probably won't remember to put a timestamp in, so you'll just have to find it. Unfortunately, that's my bad, unless I do remember. But for this, I was doing this little technique where I do 2 half reps and then a full rep. I have recently switched to not doing that, so I'll get to a full rep to show you what it's like. Look at the control I've got on these. Right, so I'm doing a half rep, just pretend these half reps aren't a thing, and then this full rep. So you go all the way to the bottom, and then you want to accelerate up, and then hold it there for half a second like I'm doing there, and then all the way back down very slowly. Ignore the hole in my trousers. You can see how slow I am doing it, right? And what you want to do, you actually want to move the seat quite far back. So you're almost sitting in this kind of position. So you're sitting here and your legs are up here, right? So you can use this little yellow handle. If you push it in, you can move this thing back and forward. There's like a little handle on your seat that you can move back and forward. Lots of different things, depending on your machine, obviously. Some machines I've tried, like I went to a hotel once and they had a gym and they had this leg extension, but it was like a different brand and it was horrible. So if you've actually got a good brand, Techno Gym isn't very good, but if you've got a good leg extension, then use it. If it's terrible and it feels uncomfortable and horrible to use, then don't use it. That's fine. Do a different exercise. I'm just giving you every single exercise that I do use. Like sometimes I use other ones depending on if people are using them or not. You know, I switch it up, but these are the main ones that I use. So that is leg extension. You don't really need to know anything more. It is simply just up and down very slowly, and you can see how powerful I go, like how slow and controlled I go. And then I tend to do a drop set because I only do 1 set of these rather than 2 sets because I've normally just come off this, so my quads are already fatigued anyway. But then you go straight onto this and do like 1 set of like your top set, as in your max weight that you'll do for like 4 to 7 reps because I train heavy, and then I drop the weight and then instantly go back into another set, drop the weight and instantly go back into another set, just like that. Now onto leg curl. This will target your hamstrings. So these will all do your quads. This is for your hamstrings. And this is the best one for progressive overload. If you've got a lying down one where you're literally like lying down, like you're sleeping, and then you pull the machine over with your hamstrings, then that's better. However, I don't have one of them, so I've got to use these. Some people say it's not very nice because Techno Gym is not a very good company and they put the pad on your shins instead of your knees, which is just wrong. But I find this all right, to be honest. So here's the handle that you'll see on this one as well, a handle there. And then, so you can move the seat backwards and forwards. And then you can move this up and down there, if that makes sense. So you can move it forward and backwards, this actual pad. And then you've got that same little yellow bit there that you can change the entire like height of this or whatever. So it's basically the reverse of leg extension. So a lot of people don't actually know how to use these two because they look exactly the same, right? This one and this one. I saw some girl go on there the other day and she was like, they're the exact same, aren't they? Right, so it's a little bit difficult and I was confused about that when I first started. So you put your legs through onto this little bottom pad if you're doing a leg extension and you want to, a leg curl, and you want to put this over the top of your shins. Whereas this, you put your feet under this pad and there's nothing on your shins, right? So you want to go nice and controlled up to the top. You want to stretch your hamstring as far as possible. In the starting position, your legs are almost straight, right? So if I go back up to the top, my legs are pretty much straight. Like, look at that, right? So you really feel the stretch in your hamstring, and then you curl it backwards and really try and curl as much as possible. Also, you see how I've got these like grey handle grips here, and then you've got that little black bit back there. I actually put my hands on there now. I used to put it on the grey bits. I put my hands on there. Same with this, but you can't really see it. And that helps me, I don't know why. Someone said it helps you lock in. Like one of my mates said it helps you lock into the set, and it actually does. Like, it sounds really cringe, but it actually does. If you put your hands really far back, you really get a tight grip and you pull yourself into the seat so your butt doesn't come off the seat. You feel totally locked in. That's the best way to explain it. But yeah, nice and simple. Just curl all the way and see if I fail on this. I probably do. You can see I go really hard to failure on these exercises. Look, I can barely pull it, keep going, and then we give up, just like that. So that's failure, because I physically can't move it, right? And then I might do a drop set on that. Now onto calf raises. These are very boring. I place my feet on this little vertical, is it vertical? Horizontal leg press, and that's the one. See how you're pushing the seat away from you rather than pushing the machine? This is bad for leg press, but it is good for calf raises. If you've got a calf raise machine, use the calf raise machine. So you want to put your feet very close to the bottom, so the middle part of your foot goes down. So when I go down, you can see it goes all the way down, rather than a traditional calf raise where you're just sort of standing there and your foot can only go like that, right? Instead, you can go all the way down and all the way up, if that makes sense. So you get a bigger range of motion on this. And of course, you can add weight. So that's literally it. It's nice and simple. And if I show you from the side view, if my mate doesn't get in the way, this is what it looks like. See? So you're pushing the machine away from you. Here it comes. So it's very nice. I don't like it actually, but it's very good for your calves. Now, onto the very weird and wacky exercises. I actually don't sprint in the gym anymore. I sprint outside in, like in a field or something, because it's just better, because this is quite hard for stability. But you can do it in the gym if you've got one of these machines. It's like a treadmill that has no brakes. So you can go as fast as you want, as hard as you push, essentially. So the harder you push, the faster it goes. So just watch this while I have a drink. So you can see I'm really, really pushing it. And that's very difficult. I do like 5 to 8 sets of 15 second sprints. When you get to 5 seconds, you're about to die. So 15 seconds is so painful. But if you've got one of these machines, or just sprint outside, that's completely fine. The pump you get in your hamstring is ridiculous. You feel sick while you're doing it. You're like, oh my God. But it is a fundamental human movement. People often do like jogs or runs, like, oh, I'm going out for a run. But I realized I get into a lot of, like, I'm eating like my ancestors, like cavemen, right? So I'm eating meat, eggs, fruit, and raw dairy. That is it. I'm not eating anything else, because that is the way humans are supposed to eat. And the same way they are supposed to do 2 main exercises. They walk when they go, find fruit or go to a different area of land to get, like a new home base or whatever, set up base. And if they see an animal, then of course they've got to kill it. They can't just like jog over there, right? They've got to sprint full force and kill it with like a spear or something. You've got to run around really fast, agile, quick, right? So rather than doing like very slow movements, we want to have this sprinting acceleration movement in our training diet, if that makes sense. So we've got to, just sprints are a fundamental movement, and you should be doing them for cardiovascular health, but also they help with muscular endurance and muscular hypertrophy for your legs, because obviously you've got to put a lot of effort in. But you want to swing your arms up like this. It sounds really cringe, and you probably know how to sprint, but just having these big strides, really pushing. I find that going off my tiptoes really helps as well, like tippy toes, like Ronaldo. And this is just an excellent movement that you can do. If you want to understand more about like why I'm on this diet and stuff, and more about ancestral humans and everything and how we can train like them, again, I've got that school community link below that you can check out. Now on to the next exercise. I actually have stopped doing this since I started doing these sprints, but they are still very good. I don't think I have a picture of them, but it's a bike essentially. So you can either do this on an actual bike, which is cool because you can get outside in nature and go on like adventures or whatever. However, I like doing them on this gym bike because it's very boring, because you're just sort of sitting there. You can watch a podcast or something, or watch my videos. But they do have like routines. So I had this routine that I used to do. It's like you click on this button depending on how good your machine is, right? I have like different routines that you can click on, and it says, if you you do like 20 minutes and it goes like really fast. Then you got to do it like very slow with your hands on the front of the bars, then at the side. Then you got to do it standing, and it's got different time frames, and you have cool downs or whatever, and you can change your level. And it's a good way to accurately track your progress. Like I can see if I did better than last time because it's the exact same routine. Whereas if you did it on like an actual bike outside, then of course it's more enjoyable. However, you won't be able to track it as well. So they kill your quads like more than any leg day I've ever done before. They are killer. The bite is just so painful, but in a good way. I'm literally like, I've got like jelly legs at the end, right? So they're very, very good. And then I do want to teach you squats. I do want to preface this by saying I don't do squats. However, I know a lot of people do, and perhaps I'm doing them wrong. I don't think I am. I just don't like them, to be honest. But if you want to actually learn how to do squats, because I didn't know how to do them, it's very difficult to learn because you have to place the bar on your back and it feels very uncomfortable to begin with. Don't use that little pad that you can put on. Don't be a wimp, don't be a wuss. Just get that piece of iron on the back of your traps, just like that. So you've got to lunge into it like this, like I'm lunging into it. I've got my hands placed on the bar. In fact, I've got different things. So you can move this up and down. You can move this, that changes where like the bar settles, see that? It's just where the bar sits essentially. So you can move that up and down, and then you've got your feet, you have to place them quite outwards like that with your toes facing outwards. And then also I put my hands on the bar sort of in the middle-ish here, so you can see, actually I do it a little, yeah, just like that. So sort of in the middle, so it's kind of like 3/4 into the bar, if that makes sense, like here. So it's not in the middle, it's not all the way out to the side, it's kind of like, if that's the bar, then I place them back here, right? And then from that point, you want to lunge into it. I like to do it on the middle of my back, so I like to do it like there, if that makes sense, like there. I don't know why, like where my rear deltas, it just feels way better. Lots of people have them on their traps, so there, like on their neck essentially. I don't like that, it didn't feel comfortable, so you have to test what feels comfortable. Then you lift yourself off the bar, you push the bar upwards, and then when you go down, you want to get a full range of motion. You don't want your heels to come off the floor. I'm kind of doing that here. And you want a nice straight back, sort of like a right angle from your quads to your butt, and then sort of a 45-degree angle upwards, right? And then push up, nice and simple. So it's just getting used to it. Again, I don't like squats, but if you want to do them, then that is how you do them. Try it out and see if it works. And if you want any more help, like I've said many times, then I've got a muscle building program in that school community, which will guarantee that you make 15 pounds plus of muscle whilst in high school. And we will do that in just 90 days. And how will we do that? Well, I've got full courses going into literally everything you need to know. We've got custom meal plans that you can just download, workout presets just like these that you can just press a button and you can get started. And then just for a limited time only, depending on when you're watching this, you get a one-to-one coaching call from me where I literally give you a personalized plan. So say, for example, you want me to review your squat form or something, I can say, yeah, this is what you need to improve on. This is where you're doing it well. For example, the same with the squad. It's like a community of like-minded guys on the same path as you, and they can all help you out on this form, or perhaps on that coaching call, you're like, actually, I don't like squats. I like this exercise that I saw on TikTok. Do you recommend it? And I can say, yeah, you can put it into here. You should do it with this, etc., etc. So, of course, you get 7+ bonus courses with the core modules like this, like, for example, DLC1 Attraction Matrix, for example. So if you're interested in that, then click the first link in the description. I will see you later. Good night.